Hello everyone. Right now I'm filming you with the X100F and also the XT2. So I have the new SmallHD's focus connected to the X100F. Also I have the Video Micro, which has been invaluable, great microphone. And this is kind of like my setup right here for vlogging, which is pretty good actually. It's pretty compact. But the great thing about the focus is that now I can see if I can frame my shot, have a nice composition, and see if the continuous autofocus is working. Now, forgive me if I'm looking up and down. Right now, I'm still trying to get used to the whole focus, trying to give me information. Now, right now, everything is fully automatic. The exposure is, the shutter speed, the ISO, and also the aperture. It says that there is no exposure compensations at 0, but you can see that my face looks pretty dark. Now, we could use the exposure compensation to brighten me up a little bit. And right now I'm at 1 exposure compensation, and then here is 2. I always like the 2, but I'm not sure if that's really bright or not. I guess I can go 1 exposure compensation. The only thing is, the moment I start moving this around, the exposure starts to change, and that's because it's always trying to compensate. Now it's back to 0. You can also see that looks like it's trying to focus. It hunts. I mean, when you have it on continuous autofocus, but then again, it is a bit dark. So let's look at the SmallHD, and that's for focusing. We're not going to do that yet. Here's a waveform, and you can see on my face that much of the exposure on my face is pretty low. As you can also note at the bottom, there's a lot of darks. Not too many whites are being clipped, but there are some blacks that are being crushed a bit. But using the exposure compensation, one way or the other, I can move this, and you can see that my face, most of my face is exposed right with the waveform is at below 80, while over here on this side, it looks like there's some clipping because this area is white. Now let's look at the false color. Wow, false color, my face looks pretty green actually, and that's not the color you want it to be. As a matter of fact, that's way too much. You can see that part of my nose and cheeks are overexposing, probably it's in the red. So definitely we're going to have to change the exposure compensation here until some balance point. Now here it's still kind of, there's this violet color, which is a little bit too dark, I think, even on my eyes. You can see that's getting too dark. And then here, that's about right, maybe there. The eyes are a bit dark, so is the mouth. Let's see how that looks on the waveform. Here's the waveform, and that's there. Now, it looks pretty good. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. It looks exposed okay. The room here is not super bright. It's a regular classroom, but it looks pretty good. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera off, the X100F, because I'm going to manually expose the camera. Now, I cannot, as you know, you cannot change the shutter speed or the ISO while it's filming. You can change the way it focuses and also the aperture. So I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to have the XT2 record me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change some of the settings here. I'm going to go to, I don't know, 400 maybe ISO. I'm going to move the exposure compensation to 0. The f-stop, I think I'm going to go to maybe 4. The shutter speed is very important. Let's put that to 30. Right now it's doing 8 and 10 and so forth. There it is, 30. Okay, it looks pretty dark. I don't seem to like it. The waveform says I'm below 65 and so. And you can see that the bottom part of my face is a little dark. My eyes are also dark as well. So I'm gonna change maybe the ISO. Let's change the ISO to, let's go to 640. It says the exposure compensation is above 2. So you can see my face and the waveform is below 100. And the false color, you can see that sort of on top of my nose, it's a bit overexposed. I might go for that. You can see the bottom of my face, it's a bit dark. I am almost in the green now that I'm looking at it. It looks pretty green, so maybe we should lower that. Lower the ISO. Too much. That's the problem with not being able to read the ISO. Let's see. 500. 500. Well, that looks dark to me. Yeah, that looks too dark for me. All right, let's see, hold on. I'm back at 1/25th of a second. You gotta be careful. That's the one thing about the X100F that is annoying with the ISO. Sometimes you gotta be a little more careful. All right, let's see. Let's change. Yeah, that looks pretty good. It still says green, and I'm supposed to be kind of like light blue. Let's see. If I look at the, to me it looks pretty good, but the scope says, let's see, the waveform says that I'm below 60, or actually below 80. And my face is green. So I'm gonna trust the false color because it says that I'm too bright. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go to 500. Oh, I am at 500. I'm gonna go to 400 then. So I'm at 400. And I'm gonna look at, hold on here. I'm still recording. I'm at 400. Okay. And now I'm at back to 25. My bottom is a little dark and the top is, or dark blue and the top is light blue. All right, I'm gonna record. So it says that I am properly exposed, even though it looks a little dark for me. That's at 320 ISO. It says the camera, the X100F says that I'm at exposure compensation of 2/3 overexposed, f 4.0, and 1/30th of a second. So that's properly exposed actually. A little dark around the bottom and also the eyes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this off one more time. I'm going to pump up the ISO to 640. Okay. Now I'm at 640. The camera says I'm overexposed by 2. F 4.0 and 1/30th of a second. Now very quickly here, I'm looking at 1/30th of a second f4.0, I'm overexposed by 2, 640. Now, if I look at the false color, now I'm green with a little bit of light blue and still dark blue on the bottom. My eyes, you can see, are dark, and my hand, you can see, is overexposed apparently. The background is overexposed, I can see that. The waveform says that my face is below 80. Let's see, it says, I'm going to use the focus here. We are in continuous autofocus actually. Let's put it on single. Okay, so we're good there. I like it overexposed a little bit. I don't know about you, but supposedly this is a bit overexposed. It's possible. And my fingers are overexposed. Looks like they might be. Okay, so why would I want to autofocus? Well, first of all, why would I want not to use auto exposure? Well, one thing about auto exposure is the exposure changes a lot. Sometimes even by moving your hand or moving the camera, all of a sudden the exposure is different because it's exposing whatever it sees. But when you have it on, and another thing too on auto exposure is that the ISO could be very high. Who knows? It could be at 12,000 ISO. You don't know because the camera is compensating all the time. And it's compensating usually on ISO, not on shutter speed or the aperture. Sure, the aperture will probably go down a bit, but the ISO is the thing that I think is the one that varies. But at 640 ISO, I can tell you that there's not a lot of noise. I'm comfortable at 1600, maybe even 32. I'm not comfortable at 64. I think there's some noise at 6400. But at 640, I think it's a great ISO. I don't see an issue with that. What can I tell you? The focus is an awesome tool to help you give you the proper exposure. Also, it helps you in focus. Like right now, I'm pretty sure I'm in focus. I don't need the continuous autofocus. I can check right now. I am in focus. And I'm really happy that I'm exposed pretty good. I'm going to turn this off one more time. I'm just curious. I'm going to lower it down to 400, where it says that I should be properly exposed. So I'm back to 1/30th of a second, f4, overexposed by 2/3, and ISO 400. And I look darker. There's not a lot of light in here. I'm wondering if this is more of a proper exposure or not. That's going to be very interesting. I don't know. Okay, so I think we're done here. Sorry I haven't been looking at you directly. I think we're done here, and we're going to try the camera a little more with the focus, X100F with the focus, also using the focus with the XT2, and just seeing how, what's the workflow. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.